Richard Flores knows what he's doing.
The Stanley Cup's going to Tampa. Mail-in ballot problems in New York point to a wider spread problem. We'll talk tonight's debate, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show. It's all downhill from here.
Nailed. 55 degrees, heading to a high today of 82.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. I think we got everything where it needs to be.
How are you this morning?
I'm well.
It's kind of good.
I'm well.
This is where I like this. Right? I don't know why. It's aesthetics.
Okay.
It looks good to
All
me.
right. We're good then. Let's do this.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by Deerland Feed. Deerland Feed is just quite simply everything you need for your farm and ranch or your home. Lawn maintenance, seeds, fertilizer, all types of stuff you need around the house to kill bugs. They got it all. Deerland Feed, a mainstay in the community for years and years and decades, over 50 years.
If nothing else, just go read the history of that building that's on the side of it.
It's a great place to visit, like a working museum. And then there's young people. Lacey's young.
Yeah.
So it's good. Great spot to be. Go by Deerland Feed. 55 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 82. Should be a bright, sunshiny day.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm here for you. It's early. I'm doing the best I can. No bias here. Unbiased, Trump-tastic Tuesday to you all as we head into the debate season. This ought to be must-watch television. This ought to be just must-watch television because Trump is just going to humiliate Joe Biden. This is like Rocky II. I mean, we know what's going to happen.
See, and I don't know. I mean, I think there's a way to do that without
Let Joe talk a lot.
Well, yeah, without coming across
as a bully,
as a bully, but
how many times will he call him like creepy Joe, sleepy Joe? Hey Joe, wake up! It's your turn to talk. I cede the rest of my time to my sleeping counterpart. It's going to be a terrific debate. We're super prepared because we're actually living and doing the work.
If he does that, and I just don't believe there's that many people on the fence.
No, we can vote right now.
When it comes to Trump, I think you're either Biden or you're Trump.
I think you're Trump or you're not Trump. Then there's Biden.
I think if there's fence sitters right now, it's more the localized races. I don't think there's anybody in this country that's sitting on the fence when it comes to the presidential candidates.
I agree.
I think there might actually, if there is, I think there might be more Biden fence sitters than Trump fence sitters.
If he's alive on November 9th,
yeah,
I'll do it.
Because most people right now, you either like Trump or you don't like the guy, you maybe even hate him.
Right.
But I don't think there's anybody sitting there going, well, maybe I vote for Trump, maybe not.
It's kind of like, he's like Notre Dame. You either love him or you hate him.
But I can see a lot of people sitting on the fence with Biden going, well, geez, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I'm not sure his running mate selection did anything to help him in that.
No, and by the way, where has she been? Did she get COVID? You don't hear anything about her. I don't know what to do with her. So Kamala.
Now the mayor checking in, Rob Moore Knipling, C.W. Bean, Justin Glass. Marvin Mickish,
Koosh from
Jeremy
Hill Country.
Pena,
JP, hello.
Jeremy
Hill Country.
Pena,
JP, hello.
Chris Conrad, Matt Boucher,
Good morning, Matt.
Dave
Amarillo
Garza's
and New
checking
Mexico.
in, Kathleen Leininger.
Jeremy, you can be in Amarillo by morning.
You could be. The Iceman.
Go up from San Antonio. Take a change of clothes, though.
Yeah. Bobby Leister, good morning to you.
175
Hold
YouTubers.
steady. Scott Tomko, good morning. Judge Posey checking in. Andy Rhea
Judge.
Jr., good morning. Bob Constantine. Got to thank Bob for all the money he left us.
Thanks, Bob. You know,
It's not legal tender and it can't be spent anywhere, but
I'm not even
stacks of
sure
these
this
things.
is legal. It's so realistic. Look, even on the back, it's got the 20s all over it. This looks like something George Floyd might have tried to use.
The cutting isn't so good.
Yeah. Donald Trump, face on a 20.
Brad Miner, good morning. Patrick Strauss, Larry Leahy, Jody Pickett checking in.
There's
Mark Eastland, good morning to you, Mark.
Hello, brother. TB, good morning. Chamber of Commerce weather. You know, today's a great day for the VEDC to have somebody come in and look around our properties and go, you can build your warehouse right here, right by the airport. We have a railroad spur. Come on in. When you get to where that overturned RV is there at Midway, you just keep coming on in until you get to the airport. Come on, Victoria.
That might be later this week's show.
Maybe I'll start ranting about
The
that.
airport debate's kind of stirring back up.
See how long before that gets cleaned up.
HR Mallory, good morning to you. What's the Iceman say?
He says you're either first or you're last. Okay, Ricky
No points
Bobby.
for second place. Yep. Steve Kidder, Biden needs to make the case to vote for him. I agree, and I
You hear
think
what he's been saying, his latest campaign stuff. Have you heard it?
I don't think so.
We've done this before, folks. We all come together. We all pull together. And there's pictures of like John F. Kennedy, and there's pictures of Vietnam, and we've just always done this together. And it doesn't show that he was in Congress during all of that.
Also, may have been part of maybe the most divisive presidency ever.
Sure. I am firmly convinced, absolutely convinced that all of this racism and all of this racially motivated violence is all the aftermath of the Obama presidency. He was divisive. He was when those officers got shot in Dallas, and President Obama, instead of saying, if you need the rule of law, let me know, I'll send the guard, because it happened to be over a racially charged issue, Obama said, I understand where they're coming from. Do you? You're the president of the United States. You're sworn to uphold the Constitution. You understand where the shooters are coming from that shot our police. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for playing. You're the problem.
Perpetuated myths, hands up, don't shoot, which we know is not
Sure.
the case. Yeah.
President Obama, he's been laying low, and he hasn't been very vocal, really, trying to get his guy in there. He doesn't want his legacy to be that he hitched his wagon to a dead horse.
Well, here's I mean, if you go back, think about when he finally endorsed Joe Biden after everybody had dropped out. He didn't come out right out of the gates and say, Joe Biden's my guy.
Joe Biden.
He waited till there was nobody else standing.
Yeah.
And Joe's promised him, I don't know what sort of cabinet positions, posts in his administration. There's a lot of deals done for all those candidates to just quietly go away.
They did too. Bernie went away. Of course, Bernie had his wife's money to retire on.
I mean, before Super Tuesday, they were all gone.
Yeah. No, it was over.
Or Super Thursday, as Joe called it. So.
What is Kathleen? I don't know, Chris.
I don't have faith that Chris Wallace won't help Biden by tag teaming against Trump.
If he does, it'll be obvious and it'll have the counter effect.
Yeah, I think Chris is. Now, if this was Dan Rather,
Whatever happened to Dan Rather?
He's still on MSNBC or one of those lousy stations.
What a shame that he's a Texan. What a total shame. I remember him being a whiner back when, and he used to work for Walter Cronkite, and Cronkite kept him under control pretty well.
And the Bushes gave him a pass for falsifying documents.
Yep.
To hurt George Bush. W.
He was a big liberal, but hey, Cronkite was a huge Democrat too. You didn't know it. He just told you what happened. That is the foundation of where I go with the media. Walter Cronkite. I'm like, hey, personally, he was a liberal. Professionally, he told you what happened. He didn't interject. He had as strong a voice as anybody in America, and probably as much influence as several presidents. Didn't bombard you with his political take on anything. He told you the news. I respect that. Did you know he was a liberal?
No.
Big Democrat. The tears he shed the day Kennedy was shot were
authentic. Telling that he was a liberal.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Authentic. Of course, that's when Americans were Americans. We might vote against a president, but we were all Americans. Everybody except the mob and the Cubans and the Russians. They were all upset about it.
It wasn't the Russians then. It was the Soviets.
Well,
it was more than just Russia, because you had Azerbaijan, you had Tajikistan, you had all those Soviet republics down there that were all part of the Soviet Union.
But lots and lots of similarities between the deaths of Kennedy and Lincoln, not the least of which are that a huge percentage of the country wanted them dead. BJ Nelson, good morning. Celebrating my sweet, handsome, awesome husband today. 30th, can you scroll?
You couldn't see anniversary?
30th anniversary and a big heart. Now, one thing we would never do here, we don't do birthdays at all. We would never say, hey, happy anniversary, Scott and BJ Nelson.
Never stoop to that long.
We'd never do that even for a sponsor like White Trash Services. 550-1826. White Trash is your go-to if you need a dumpster, a roll-off dumpster trash service in the 5 counties surrounding 6.
5 counties surrounding Victoria, so that makes 6 counties.
Yeah, plus Holiday Beach.
Rockport.
They've got it. You got a big project, going to build a home out in the country. Ashes, be a roll-off dumpster out there. The Lester
Services can get it.
The Lester roll-off. It'll be there. Happy anniversary, Scott and BJ.
30 years.
Clint Ives says Precinct 4 currencies.
That must have been that must be a pretty good marriage, because those two haven't aged each other at all.
No, he's still very youthful. She still wears her rodeo queen sash. Interesting. I always thought it was interesting because it doesn't go with everything she wears, but
it goes with enough.
4H has the clover on it. 4H sash. I wonder if tonight maybe it's just nothing but the sash. You know?
Maybe.
Coming out of shoot number 3.
After the debates.
Right. No. Knowing BJ, nothing will get her as excited as a good debate. Oh, Scott. Ooh. I predict Biden will wear a mask, and someone who is not mentally tested, someone off stage. That you remember that
well, he just moves his mouth.
Remember the Andy Griffith show where they kept telling Barney, sing lower.
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Well, they had this guy, this big baritone. They go, this microphone's super hot microphone. You sing lower. And the guy in the back sang, and Barney was like, and Barney was doing the pantomime, because he was singing lower. And at the end, and his hair was everywhere. Classic, man. You just have to see Barney to see what happened.
Don Knotts is one of the best.
That's what's going to happen, is they're going to have Barack Obama answer the questions, or Hillary Clinton answer the questions from behind the screen.
It'll be somebody who can mimic Joe Biden's voice. But I've seen video of him.
It'll be Hunter. In the background, you hear, wow, Dad, thanks, man.
I've seen video of Joe speaking in public with a mask on and a microphone, and his mouth ain't moving.
You're convinced it ain't him?
I'm convinced it was recorded. I think it was him. I think it was pre-recorded
They have to
so that he didn't screw up when he was actually they're talking
Carter,
live.
paid programming like that.
Yeah. So they had some time.
Jody Pickett says, finally some recognition. I think we're way behind on our people.
Steve Kidder checking in.
I meant to say not bad money right there. David Brogger, good morning.
Well, no, I was called that Precinct 4 currency.
Yep.
Gets you that and dollar bill still won't get you a cup of coffee.
Exactly. Bob Constant says, do we still have a VEDC? Yes, we do. Still funded a couple $100,000 a year by the city.
Kevin Leininger wishing BJ and Scott a happy anniversary. Greg Garcia, good morning to you. Lisa Poole checking in. Brent Anderson, good morning. Scott Tomko.
Good morning, Zip.
David Glass. Steve Kidder says Eisenhower was cool towards Nixon's presidency runs.
Yeah.
Let's see who else in. Amanda Smith King, good morning.
What did you say? Who's
still Dale Fowler?
Yeah, interesting. I did have somebody tell me last week. I'd be curious to see what Victoria thinks about this. And don't be too hasty. We like Dale Fowler. I think Dale Fowler does he does what he does at the VEDC. I mean, you got to say the proof's in the pudding, and we don't see a whole lot of pudding. But that may not be Dale's fault. It's the scope of the VEDC, and he's as good at it as anybody at saying, hey, it's going to be terrific. It's going to be great. Big things coming. Can't talk about them, but there's big things in the works. I had somebody point out that when you run a not-for-profit and you decide to take another gig, let's just use Dale as an example. If you're working for the VEDC and you decide to run for sheriff, should you be allowed to keep your VEDC gig, which is a not-for-profit funded in part by the city of Victoria or the county? I don't know, one of them. $400,000.
Sales tax money, right?
$400,000. I think they get. Should you be able to keep that gig, or should you have to resign?
If there's no bylaw against it and the board of directors approved it,
there you go. I think our friend Nancy Garner, Wilson Realty, is now the president or the chairman of the board of the VEDC. She's been very active for a number of years and does a great job in so many things. She is certainly a go-getter who could make some things happen.
But I've said on here many times, I think if you are elected and running for another elected position, you should have to give up the elected position that you hold.
Bernie Sanders shouldn't be a senator anymore.
No.
Right.
Kamala Harris is a sitting senator. She's VP. When she was running for president, her seat should have been vacated. They should have a special election. And the same thing on the right. Ted Cruz, your Senate seat should have been vacated.
Yep.
This isn't a partisan deal for me. If you have higher aspirations, and here's commit to it. But here's the other thing. You spend so much time on the campaign trail. Are you really doing your constituents a service? And are you still doing your job as a elected representative of those people when you're out running the streets trying to become president or senator if you're a congressman, or congressman if you're a state representative, or state representative if you're a city council member? Because that seems to be the progression in reverse, but right?
Right.
How can you seriously and adequately still serve the constituents that elected you to represent them when you're off trying to run for another office? I don't think you can.
You can't.
No. Steve Kidder brings up a good point about Walter Cronkite, though. He did opine on the Vietnam War and it greatly influenced popular opinion on that.
Yeah, he did. He was the most trusted man in America. He was, between him and Johnny Carson, there were more televisions glued than any other place. We've talked about it here. Johnny Carson averaged more viewers per night than Letterman and Leno combined.
What does the Iceman say? See how fast I corrected you on the Russians and Soviets?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Well, he has firsthand knowledge, raised in a gulag-ish camp to create young spies.
Now you're hitting too close to home now.
Well, I'm just saying they shipped him over to Canada as a young child, put him into a family, told him he was a twin. Aunt Tina had a boy, and they cropped Ash's hair down. He was actually just very small for his age. He was 3.
You know where the influence came from? They watched the Flintstones when the Rubbles ended up with Bam Bam on their doorstep.
You were Bam Bam.
After Fred and Wilma had Pebbles.
Yeah.
And Barney and Betty were upset, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a kid on their doorstep. That's what happened to me in Canada.
Your parents always thought you were advanced. You spoke several languages, but they didn't realize that you were 3 when they got you. Yeah. You were just tiny.
See, Elias checking in. What Storm Bale says.
I bet he wears ear protection to hide his earpiece. I wouldn't doubt it at all. I could see Biden. I could see some chicanery.
Shenanigans?
Yeah.
Chicanigans?
It's a mockery. It's a travesty. It's a travesty mockery.
Let's take a break of those. Maybe we'll get a caller on the back end of the break to weigh in on what they think is going to happen with the debates tonight, or how they would like to see the debates. Because you and I haven't really talked about which way we want to see the debates, but I would be curious to see how our listeners want to see the debates go tonight. So give us a call, 361-575-9509.
So Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. Today's a great day to get into Uncle Mutt's. They got brisket,
ribs,
chicken,
sausage,
turkey. They got it all.
A billion sides.
Uncle Mutt's rice, cabbage, pinto beans, green beans, cabbage, coleslaw,
grilled
pea
potatoes.
Salad. They got it all. And then you say, oh, can I get some pickles and onions? They give you like one of those little styrofoam hamburger things full of them. Go by and order the meat by the pound. It's the best way to do it. Take it home. It keeps. You can make a brisket bender with it. Little folder. That's a Scott Taylor. Call that a Scott Taylor. You make it a bender.
You dip it or you douse it in sauce?
I think you douse, because you don't want to be a double dipper.
Well, it's your own sauce, though.
Well, it is. Good morning, Rita Shear. Hope you're doing well.
USA Concrete Coatings. Give Charlie Garcia a call.
Oh, wow. One day, folks, come out. You take all your garbage out of the garage. They'll kind of sand it down, clean up the surface, get the oil off. They'll fill the little cracks that happen. Everybody's got cracks in their garage. Don't be embarrassed about that. But let Charlie come in and put down this polyurethane coating. It's antimicrobial. It's antibacterial.
4 times stronger than epoxy. It won't chip, won't crack, won't peel.
You'll love it.
Slip resistant.
While he's there, oh, hey, do that sidewalk. Oh, do my front patio, my front porch. Do my back patio. Do that kid's room. I never did like that stained concrete. Put something on that. He can do it any way you want it. That's the way you need it. The journey is real with USA Concrete Coatings. 578-HOME. That's the number for Charlie Garcia. Went Services, Went Electrical, Went Generators, Went Plumbing. They done went everywhere and done it all.
Started as Went Electrical, now it's just Went Services.
Perfect. Reach out, get you a Cummins,
Kohler,
Stratton, Kohler, Generac, all kinds of generators.
And more.
Gas, natural gas, diesel. They got
solar power,
propane.
They can do it all.
Solar power, solar panels with battery backups. Got it all. Reach out to Went. Get what you need. Hey, if you have an opinion about tonight's debate, if you have a prediction about tonight's debate, if you think there's a subject that won't be, when are we going to talk again, folks? Seriously. When are we going to talk again about COVID? This president's
that'll come up.
This president's not transparent. Let's just look at his tax returns. I mean, that'll be the big deal tonight, because they prey on your ignorance. As time goes on, you start realizing that, hey, what Trump did, it didn't really affect the overall numbers of the virus or the deaths. They were talking about, Joe Biden was like, there's going to be 2.5 million dead people. No, there's not, Joe. There's still 200,000. And guess what? Probably, honestly, that many military veterans died over the same period of time, and nobody cared.
Scott Tomko says, think of the backlash if he was caught lip syncing. And I agree with you to a point, Scott, but I'm not convinced the mainstream media would even report on it if it was, which would mean Breitbart or some other Fox News maybe, but I'm not even sure that they would these days. Hannity, Tucker Carlson might go there. It would take somebody along those lines to report it. The New York Post maybe, because they're sort of tabloidish,
Who-
and it would quickly be dismissed by the mainstream media
Yes.
as fake news.
That's right. The mainstream
That's a
media-
Photoshop
That's
picture. That's doctored video.
100% agree. The mainstream media is a campaigning arm of the Biden.
They're the PR campaign arm of the Biden-Harris
I 100%
and the
agree.
Democrat Party. Peter
100%.
Scherr checking in. So Tom Price, good morning. So that's why I don't know. Even if he did it and got away with it and was found out later, it would be fake news.
What did Kelly Fromm say? Okay, so the board of directors made the approval, and that makes it fine. Yeah. She's right.
She is.
Little dead air just to get your morning
What does
going.
Jennifer Castle say? Absolutely. Jay Inslee and governor in Seattle can't run Washington, but tries to run for everything else.
Right.
Will Vincent checking in. Good morning.
Ash and I just got caught up reading all the comments, and we love the comments. If you have an opinion of how you think tonight's debate will go, it is funny that now everything, COVID has not really been the news the last couple of weeks. It really has not really. It's kind of like when HIV just kind of fell off the chart,
They kind of had a little blip when they hit 200,000 deaths. But I've asked, and I've asked people who should be able to provide the information. I want to see the number of deaths attributed to all the shutdowns, the economic ruin, the despair, the chemical dependency as a result,
the suicide numbers,
of all the action the government took to shut down the lives of people, to see where those numbers are. Because it's interesting to me that the left only seems to care about the 200,000 COVID deaths, 200,000 plus, and I'm not trying to minimize the number of the deaths here.
But there's no way over 20,000 of those people were purely COVID. The other 180 were fat, diabetic, had heart disease, yada, yada, yada. They had comorbidities.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they were dying of those things at this point in time.
No, but they wouldn't have died of COVID if they didn't have those. So it's kind of like, meh.
Yeah, no, there's some of that, and we still.
If a guy got hit by a car and had the antibodies in him, they would say, well, it's a COVID death. And that is true. That was going on for a while.
Probably disoriented them.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But it seems it's interesting. The left has absolutely no care, compassion, or even concern for all the other lives and deaths that have been, or all the other lives that have been ruined, and the deaths that have happened because of the shutdowns, the lockdowns, and everything else that's going on.
COVID lives matter, man. COVID lives matter. You insensitive ogre.
Clint says Texas legislation passed laws that require locals to resign to run for higher offices, but failed to impose those same sanctions or restrictions on themselves. I found it interesting that Dems want to impose term limits on judges now, Supreme Court judges.
Justices, that's crazy.
Yeah, but let's put the term limits on y'all as senators and congressmen and women. It's interesting. You want to term limit a Supreme Court justice, but you don't want to term limit yourself.
Does anybody recall?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Have we ever had? I think about the. I was going to say J.J. Watt. That's not right. What's the young man's name from Oklahoma that was in Congress and was a really up and coming Republican guy, and he resigned fairly young.
Played quarterback for Ottawa in the CFL. J.C. Watts.
J.C. Watts. I don't know the politics. I don't know what. You never know. You never know what was about to come out. So he decided not to run again, or if he just went home to his family. But you never can anybody tell me ever of a time that a congressman said, in December, I will have fulfilled my second term. I believe it's my constitutional duty to go back to my job, to go back to my family. Thank you. It's been a privilege to serve the American people for 2 terms in Congress, and I'm going home. Has anybody ever self-imposed term limits? Or once they get there, do they just stay Mitch McConnell until they drag you out?
I don't know, to be honest. Oh, we lose the feed?
Oh, they shut us down.
They did. Do we need to start
That's
again?
unbelievable.
Well, the YouTube feed is still going, but see if we can get that one run, or see if that one will run again, since Facebook got. See, start talking bad about the left.
It's a true story.
So, yeah, I just got another couple messages on that, so I'm going to try and respond real quick. But, yeah, you start talking bad about the left, and they pull the plug on the video. Imagine that. So we'll get it going again here. Bear with us.
It's on.
All right. I haven't seen the notification pop up yet. There it is.
I tell you what, if you're dumb enough in this country to believe in freedom of speech, I've got something to sell you. It is more than a coincidence. When we start talking politics, the left-driven Facebook mafia shuts us down. Because it is undeniable.
Because our YouTube feed never goes away when that's the case. And we got 5.
Better not be Mark Zuckerberg. Well, we just got shut down, Brad. It's Brad Miner on mobile. And it's just unbelievable, un-American. It's everything that they claim they didn't want to be. I mean, Zuckerberg wanted to create an environment where he could meet chicks. Hard enough to do at Harvard, especially when you look like the guy from, what's that movie, Elect Pee-wee? What's that? You know,
I don't know. He looks like Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Or he looks like the guy that had the Uncle Rico that could throw the football a quarter mile.
And Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. That's who Zuckerberg looks like. And I'm like, dude, the next thing you know, they shut us down. They don't like what we're talking about. They shut us down. It's got to be a few words we use, and then it fits into an algorithm, and then it just shuts us down. There's not some dweezil somewhere pushing a button. It's very annoying. I want to make you smile this morning, Brad.
Chris Conrad says we need to start streaming on Parler. And you know what? I think you're right.
I think we could. Dan Bongino owns a chunk of that, and he's a smart guy. We may get over there. Let me tell you one, Brad. For those of you that don't know, Brad Miner's probably my biggest friend because he's 6'10" and on a good day can get under 450. He is a huge gentleman, and as you would imagine, played some football. My son Caden is 12, and I said, Caden, I'm not saying you're slow. He's playing a little offensive line. And I said, I'm not saying you're slow, son, but your new football nickname is School Zone. I call him School Zone, and it just burns him up.
That's what passes for an offensive lineman?
Yeah.
In middle school football?
Yeah.
A tall, skinny kid?
Yeah. He plays center. He played 2 games, never touched anybody. School Zone.
Touch the ball every play.
He's important. Yeah. Expansion. Now, I have to give Caden credit. He'll run 5 yards back, hold his hand up, and get the huddle going.
Were you called the Washington Sentinels?
Oh, yeah. Right. Did you were
the Pee Wee football equivalent of the Washington Generals then, huh? Patsies for the Globetrotters.
Did you have anything specific to share this morning? What are your thoughts on the debate tonight? It won't help him, though. I mean, Trump is the answer. That's the problem they've got. If they ask Joe Biden, how do you feel about NATO? Donald Trump's going to say, how does NATO feel about me when I tell those deadbeats to start paying their share of the expenses? And the crowd roars,
There won't be a crowd.
I believe it's must-watch television. I believe that tonight will have a rating second only to the Super Bowl. I think America will be watching this debate, if for no other reason than to hear Joe Biden get told, "You're fired." I really think there's a chance. I do. And I think that favors Trump. That shows you that middle America is watching in droves.
Yeah, I thought.
Not hockey. Hockey's still getting the same 57 people that watch every game.
Half of them tune into this show.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I can. When Dallas only has 8 shots on goal through 2 periods in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and that showed a little bit about Dallas's strategery in the Stanley Cup, not just the playoffs, but the finals. They were good at capitalizing on the few chances they had, but they got into trouble against a Tampa Bay team where they couldn't do it enough, and last night really proved the point, and then they tried to pour it on in the third period. If they would have played every period like the third period, Dallas would have won last night's game. It would be faced with a Game 7 tomorrow night.
Oh, they're so fast. Oh, Jay Iceman knows it's killing me. Now, I will tell you this.
But you know what, though, Brad? You should play goal. You would be the career shutout leader in a heartbeat.
He would be big in goal tonight, literally, Brad Meyer. You weren't a kid 30 years ago. Right. Yeah, there you go.
Well, nobody's harder on you than your own family.
You learned over time just to be quick for 5 yards, and that's all it took. Awesome.
So that's all you needed, though, was 10 yards. Well, that's true.
Hey, we got a jet because it's going to take Alan's Wrecker Service to save our show after that hockey minute. 578-6300. That's Alan's Wrecker Service. Alan Miller, Janet, their son, little Alan, who's not little. He's a grown man with a lot of experience. They're clearly, undeniably, the glowing leader in this region for towing. Callie Frommy says that the Bidens created a subchapter S Corp when they realized that the tax obligations from books and speaking and all that were so enormous. They might have shown something like $13 million in taxable revenue, but instead they only owed around $50,000. Says everyone takes advantage of loopholes that exist. My deal with this is tax avoidance, perfectly legal. Tax evasion, not so.
Illegal. Yeah.
So you are dumb because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So what you need to do is do all the avoidance you can do. There's nothing wrong with saying, oh, I can write that off. I'm writing that off.
Let's finish the break and get to the taxes in the back.
The VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, those are the two to talk about today. VCS for all your communication needs, Rocket for all your service needs. You need right-of-way cleared. You need right-of-way maintained.
You need a pad site prepared for your commercial enterprise. They can do it all.
Or a drilling site. You need fence, piping, gates. They do all that at Rocket with the same quality that the VCS companies have brought to communication. Two-way radios, alarms, surveillance, surround sound, back patio, stereos, you need it. They got it. They're now, Steve Klein puts VCS products in his new homes because he realized it was a selling point. Not only are you moving in, you're moving in with 1080p cameras on your front drive in your backyard. They've got it.
Top of the line electronic accoutrement.
Absolutely. And reach out to JP Hall, Razor IT Solutions. He's got big things going. Can't talk about him. He's like the DEDC of IT. That's it.
Huge.
He's huge. He's growing and blowing and growing and blowing and growing. Looks like ice cream. Anyway, he is making it happen. Razor IT Solutions.
And don't forget Great Barn Design. Give Cheryl a call for all your event design needs. 920-6803.
Wow, we're all over the place. I hope we can get to all of our sponsors today.
So the whole tax flap, which I know is going to come up in tonight's debate.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's
hot news.
Last year, 2 years ago, 17, 18, whatever the tax year was, $750 in taxes. I saw a graphic on CNN. Biden paid a few like tens of thousands of dollars, whatever. What's really interesting and missed by everybody, Joe Biden has been in Congress for 47 years.
He's a multi-millionaire.
I bet you every tax loophole that has been approved by Congress, Joe Biden has had a stamp on it at some point.
Yep.
Right? The existing tax code has morphed and ebbed and flowed and become what it is while Joe Biden has been in Congress or as vice president. 47 years. And now they're mad because Donald Trump has smarter accountants than they do because he paid $750 in taxes.
Yeah, he probably paid $400,000 in accounting fees.
And let's not forget, he's donated $1.4 million of his presidential salary. I didn't see Joe Biden giving up his vice presidential salary to anybody.
No.
And he is taxed on that. I don't think that's tax-free income.
Ryan says that off topic, but Alberta, Canada should become the 51st state. I like all they have to do is apply. We tried to tell that to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico doesn't want it.
They didn't want it. They sure wanted that water after that hurricane came through.
James Kerr says at least Trump files his taxes.
Legit point.
Yeah, legit point. But I find it interesting. And then let's talk about. Here's a guy who everybody else on the list is a career politician who's not done anything to add to the job roles in this country. They've never employed anybody. They've never been employed by anybody except the taxpayers. They have no clue how to add to the tax base of their communities. And it's apparent they don't even know how to run all the loopholes because they're paying tax. And if you look at the amount of tax they're paying, what astounds me more is they're paying tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. They make a couple $100,000 a year as a senator or congressman or woman. Where the hell is all the income coming from that they're paying tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes a year? That's the question that needs to be answered. Oh, they're all married to rich, influential Wall Street bankers and lobbyists.
Totally agree.
They're just mad that Donald Trump is smarter and has people that understand the tax laws. Because again, he's not evading taxes. He's avoiding taxes.
Well, I just don't
Smart
think,
guy. I try to get every dollar back I can.
and I don't think anybody disagrees with you on a personal level. So what I think you're going to find is this is a non-issue. Are they going to try to really? Are they really going to try to paint Trump as like a tax evader? Is that going to be their latest deal? And would this surprise anybody that a multimillionaire, maybe a billionaire, with numerous business interests, found a way to not pay much in tax? I mean, didn't General Motors pay like $750 in taxes a couple of years ago? It's just the real world.
Well, and let's not forget that's personal income tax. His resort in Doral, Florida, paid over $4 million in 2019 in local property taxes.
There you go. James Kerr, a big nothing cookie. Larry Joe McRae says all the insider trading they get away with. So I think our audience is in total agreement that this is a nothing deal. It's a nothing burger, if you will.
But it'll be a huge talking point on tonight's debate.
Because they got nothing else.
They've got nothing else.
What else is Biden going to tell you he's going to do?
Remember all the talk about the taxes, his income tax returns, right? Oh, we need to see his returns. We need to see where his money's coming from. We need to know that he's involved in nefarious dealings. I believe it was 15 or 20 paragraphs into that New York Times story on his income taxes, where they finally made a statement like, well, we could find no ties to any illegal money coming from Russia. The Mueller investigation spent 2 years trying to find wrongdoing between this country and Russia, which is bullcrap, because all they were trying to do was try to find wrongdoing between Trump and Russia. And yet somehow they missed a $3.5 million payment from the former mayor's wife of Moscow to Hunter Biden. If you're looking for wrongdoing and influencing elections and American politics, and you miss that one.
What's Biden sniffed more of, kids or cocaine? Hey.
Well, Hunter cocaine, Joe kids.
You know this would never happen. But if it were to ever happen, this is the perfect president to do it. Wouldn't it be awesome if just once in your lifetime, during a presidential debate, if the president just said, you know what, Joe, I'm fixing to kick your ass, and just walked over and just punched Joe Biden in the neck.
That'd be assault.
It would be awesome, though. It would be awesome. Yeah, is that the way you really feel, Joe? Wow. We could be like all those other underdeveloped countries where they have like cattle running through their parliament and stuff, right? They get upset about the price of beef and they just bring a bunch of, bulls and let them run through parliament. Love it. I would love it if Donald Trump just walked over and just punched Joe Biden in the chops.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You like the peaceful. You're Canadian. Sorry.
Felony assault, and Donald Trump wouldn't be able to run for a second term.
Oh, I'm not sure it'd be felony, would it? Is that felony? Just punched him. I think a jury of his peers would let him off.
There you go. Brad Miner says assault on the elderly.
Good point.
Although he is elderly.
It's like Grumpy Old Men 4, what the debate's going to be like tonight. When Joe Biden talks about, we're the party of youth.
Well, let's be honest. Donald Trump can't really talk about being the party of youth either.
Wow.
He's only 2 years younger than Biden.
Chestnut Furniture Company, 100 years downtown Victoria. 100 years. Celebrating with 50% off all furniture. They've still got bedding, all kinds of furniture, dishwashers, washers and dryers. They've got it all. Appliances, ranges, air conditioners.
Cooktops.
They got it. Get down there and check it out.
Accoutrement.
They got lamps, lamp shades, things that are hard to find. Beautiful. I walk downtown, walk in the windows. The furniture is just beautiful. The furniture's gotten cool. It's kind of almost gotten a little bit retro. What I like about now is furniture is back up off the ground. Like it was in the 70s when it set on little
legs.
You don't know, but those little legs, because guess what? If you get it up off the ground, you can run your robot underneath it. Your robot can do the whole room. There's nothing worse than moving your sofa and finding like a sleeping bag worth a limp behind it. I've done it. And with these hard surfaces, all the dust works its way back underneath your furniture.
Yep.
Get by there. Chesney Furniture, 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. The Eisenhower dealer since 1926.
They've been selling Chevrolets. Since then, they've had a Cadillac, Mitsubishi, Mazda to the stable.
There's a $75,000 Toyota over there. Go get it.
I was just going to say, all sorts of pre-owned.
Beautiful. But they're the best of the best pre-owned, and they've got a paint and body shop that's the best, and they do service on all makes and models. Get by and see the Eisenhower dealership today. GDP Techs, our buddy Dwayne Proctor, he does our laptops. He takes care of us when we can't communicate with each other. 550-4744.
Only he could fix Facebook.
Extremely reasonable, and we'll talk to you over the phone. Compadres Design does all of our swag, and we've got swag coming. They're on the VEDC program. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're about to print them. Big things. It's coming your way. What I don't like about the VEDC is they'll tell you straight up, boy, we're constrained. It's the bylaws. You know what? Change them. Get me some businesses in here.
Cut the red tape.
Cut the red tape. Victoria ought to be a city that gets together and goes, come on down. You're next on Grow Our Economy. Of course, that's some stuff that I ran on and just wasn't. It's too forward thinking. I was ahead of my time. I tell you, boy.
Is that how you're going to paint it?
I was ahead of my time. We'll see how they feel when terms are over.
Veracruz called a Wednesday Eve today. Just simply the best Mexican food in Victoria. So I describe it to anybody who asks.
You go eat a big old plate of like floating or drowning enchiladas. How about that?
They're not floating.
Yeah, but then, well, they kind of hover on that orange stuff. The gruel that makes it so good. You sop it up with a flour tortilla. You use your rice in there. Oh, you get your rice in there so you get all that greatness, that goodness. And then tomorrow you go in and kind of have like a diet day when you eat the cow dough. Sheriff Louderback, good morning, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Also, don't forget, time's running out. Blue Bonnet Youth Ranch fundraiser this year. Great raffle tickets available at all the Cimarron stores.
6 for $100.
6 for $100. Great prizes, some getaways, a private concert with Austin Cunningham, Nashville recording artist and songwriter. Probably more famous for the songs he's written for others, but he's still a great performer and good voice, and you'll get a private concert with him. So that's top prize, but just great organization over the years. Over 600 kids have gone through the Blue Bonnet Youth Ranch, and these are the lives that have been changed positively of 600 individuals from this region and all around the state, but primarily local kids. And without the Blue Bonnet, they would have been destitute for probably prostitution, who knows what else. A life with no hope, and maybe would have even ended early. They've saved the lives of 600 kids, the way I look at it. And then some.
They've all, not only were they saved, so many have gone on and just excelled. Yeah. It's amazing.
Some of them are on the board of the Blue Bonnet now.
Yeah, they were just kids that were given a chance, and so many of them have gone on and done great things. And you sit there and go, wow, that's really something. It is, but they just had a level playing field. It's very nice. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. Claude Jacobs has done such a great job for so long, kind of being the front man of that.
Somebody cared about him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's been his gift back to them.
When mom and dad couldn't, for whatever reason.
Yep. Steve Kidder says, Victoria Republican Women Watch Party tonight. Oh, I see what Steve Kidder did there. 7:30 tonight at Greeks 205, but on the side, on the 207 side. So what Steve just did was invite any conservative-thinking young woman down to Greeks. I like the way you're playing, Steve. You're playing at a different level, my man. I like the way you did that. Victoria Republican Women gathering at Greeks tonight. You don't think Steve Kidder will be there, do you?
Steve Kidder will buy in on
it. I bet he'll be there.
So I wonder how much the mail ballot issue will be on the debate tonight. I'm personally not a huge believer that it's fraught with fraud. But now I start seeing more and more issues. Now there's an investigation into Ilhan Omar. Might have been more at a local level than a federal level. But New York Post reporting that Brooklyn has had a bunch of absentee ballots, misdelivered, mislabeled, mishandled. Inside was the return ballot. This one couple in New York, and this, I could see this happening, but still, somebody's not paying enough attention. Husband and wife got their ballots.
Mm-hmm.
The return envelope were mislabeled so that she got her husband's return envelope. He got her return envelope.
And guess what? If they vote Republican, those votes are going to be kicked out. If they vote Democrat, they count twice. I don't believe percentage-wise. I'd be amazed if the mail-in ballot is
significant enough,
even 10% of the total ballots cast. But you just have to wonder why they're making such a big deal about that. Michael Jolly says Biden will destroy Trump tonight, said no one ever. Have to agree.
Have to agree. But it's interesting. I'll read you a little bit more of some of the problems that they're dealing with in New York.
We're thinking about running a new segment. We have a buddy, Brent Anderson, who checks in all the time, master's class swimmer, a great athlete, great friend. We're thinking about starting a new segment where we get Brent to call in and tell a joke one day a week. We're so confident that Brent just telling the joke will open the door for all types of fun. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe he'll do that on Thursday.
Yeah, here's the problem. They've got a voter ID number on this thing. They've got your name and address.
$10 buy-in at the Munko tournament at 205. Nice.
I could see how they could track your vote.
Wear your purple hat. Yeah, you should be able to vote anonymously. You can't do that by mail. You can't vote anonymously by mail.
No.
Now they know where you're at. They know how you vote.
Well, they can do that locally in a way. They know which primary you vote in.
And that's what James Kerr says. It's a great issue to use when you challenge an election. And so the folks raising all the stink, the folks giving you the, I told you there were going to be problems, those folks, they're the Democrats because they know they're going to get beat at the ballot. They know that.
But how long does this thing drag out in the aftermath? Because this could be like the hanging Chad, and the courts will end up having to decide this at some point.
You've already had a judge.
And what's scarier to me than even a Joe Biden presidency is Nancy Pelosi becomes the president if she's still Speaker of the House, which, God, I hope somehow she loses.
They get elected, and the stress of the election makes Biden not capable, so Kamala Harris becomes your president.
Scott Tomko sums up where I was going. Just another thing that Dems can use to prolong the results of the election. It still boils down to this for me. They wanted to elect, because they had just elected the first black president. We had 8 years of President Obama. They wanted to elect the first female president. When it didn't happen, they have tried everything they could. And that might be why you have a Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. Because at some point she could become the president, and then they would have their first female president.
Oh, she's so dumb.
They're so set on a legacy and making history that the quality of the candidate didn't matter in 2016 to them.
Or now.
And their way to get there was to bring Harris onto the Biden ticket because they know Joe Biden isn't going to survive the first 4 years of his term if he's elected, and they would then be able to check 2 boxes in the only party that really cares about boxes. You have a female and an African-American female or black female, right? That's check.
She's actually more Indian female.
But the only party that ever cares, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Only party that ever cares about checking boxes these days seems to be the Democrat Party. But this will be fun tomorrow to see how this debate goes. I'm going to be tuned in.
If she could have found a way to be a physically impaired, black, female, veteran, identifying as male,
as an Asian Pacific
Gay
Islander
with an Asian surname. Bingo! We got them all. Here's
What
Trump.
still is lost on me is this is a party that resoundingly defeated her and didn't want her as a candidate for president. She was polling so badly she dropped out before the debates got serious because she was not a serious candidate.
She was polling so badly, and yet nobody, not even Elizabeth Warren, came anywhere close to just trashing Biden as she did. Just called him a racist, just called him misogynist, you name it, pedophile. She called him everything. Maybe she just tells the truth. I don't know. But she sure is not going to be happy to call him boss.
No, not at all.
But it's not going to happen. We've gone down that road. He's not going to win. So be sure and listen to the deal tonight, folks. We're going to have to get out of here so we can get a full day's work done before lunch. Check in tomorrow.